of non-sustainable living. And what the peacemaker brought was sustainable living. And then when the Western Europeans came in, that began to be systematically destroyed. And in the 21st century, we're faced with the same thing. And we need to go back and maybe review the good things that we have in our country, but also look at perhaps some of the things that were thrown out that were possibly very good that came from this great Confederacy, and putting them back into our country so that we can renew our country and our land.
Will there be a sequel to The Peacemaker?
That's an interesting question. There may be.
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe.
Because I can see it. If someone wants to read your book or get in contact with you, how would they get hold of you?
Well, I have a website through my publisher. It is www.kentuckywoman.net, and there you can order a copy online, and it does come as an e-reader, or you can go to my own personal website, Angel Band Productions, and you can order copies there that I have available that I will ship to you from my home, and you can order them from me, either website.
This book, The Peacemaker, is full of historical facts, and I admire that you are so truthful of stating them in here. One of them that I was very surprised, I was reading, I'm like, my goodness, I didn't know that. There's a part here where Molly and Carl, they're talking about Washington and Carl. It says, Lincoln had just signed the National Conscription Act. All men between the ages of 18 and 35 will be part of a national lottery held in July. If your name is drawn, you'll be inducted into the Army unless you pay $300 for a substitute. What do you mean, a substitute? You mean rent someone else?
Yes, that was a way that the Conscription Act came about because the Union was running out of men. They were dying like crazy, and they were running out of money. They didn't have either one, and they were in dire straits, and they needed men to go fight. And so they had to start inducting men based on a lottery. However, people of power who didn't want their sons going off to war could actually pay the poor farming boys or the poor city boys or the Irish. The Irish immigrant men were the ones that bore the brunt of the Civil War in this country. And they were poor. So, you know, for the family didn't have any money, so you get this money, and then the son goes off to fight.
$300. It was probably something like $2,000 now, maybe $3,000 now.
Yes.
That was a lot of money.
Yes.
For someone to, wow. I was like shocked when I read that. I put a little tag here on the book. But since you read the very beginning of the book, I would love if you could read a little bit of the end, because it gives everyone an essence of what this book is about. And it starts with the peacemaker is about realizing our unity.
And I think that this brings from the prologue to the end some of the things that we were talking about at the very beginning. The peacemaker is about realizing our unity. America is a country of blending. We are not an Aryan nation. We are one people from many different ethnicities and cultures. We are one nation, and the key to our unity must be in coming together as one, celebrating our different heritages and traditions that enrich us as we put aside past hurts and grievances. If we cannot make peace in our families or in our communities, we cannot make peace in the world. We must become a nation of peacemakers, not peacekeepers. A peace that is kept with weapons of destruction is not peace at all. We must learn to resolve conflicts with words of love and forgiveness, not by overpowering those who differ from us. In Alex Haley's book, Roots, Kunta Kinte's teacher during his manhood training teaches that you do not get rid of an enemy by killing him. Instead, you create generations of enemies among the descendants who continually seek to avenge that death. As we make peace with the human race, we must also make peace with the earth that sustains us. We must learn to live in harmony with the earth once again and help it heal from centuries of abuse. We are children of the same Creator and of one family, no matter which creation story we believe. We are all peacemakers. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I love it. And those are the words that should be in everybody's hearts.
Yes.
So so we don't leave it with a heavy feeling like we must keep peace going, because we must. But people think that it's more work to keep peace going than just sending a few people to die at wars, right? This is a beautiful book cover. And is this something that you picked yourself? And what does it represent?
This is a covenant chain.
Oh, covenant
and this
chain.
was this was the treaties that bound the Iroquois together. They would have their yearly council meetings, and they would come together and settle conflicts and talk peacefully about the conflict, and then they would make decisions about what to do, and they would weave these covenant chains to bind them.
But who put them together? Women?
The women would put them together. The interesting thing about this is the covenant chain that the Iroquois Confederacy gave to George Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Iroquois Confederacy actually welcomed the English settlers, and they considered them part of the covenant of peace. And it was the Western Europeans that broke the covenant chain, not the Iroquois Confederacy.
That's good to know.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of, you have so much knowledge. Tell me a little bit more, like, do you have children?
I have 2 daughters.
2 daughters. Do you have grandchildren?
No, they have taken a different path in that regard. But the interesting thing about my daughters is they are half Chinese. And they are, for me, part of what I'm trying to teach in this book, because I have this fundamentalist, conservative Christian background, being from Kentucky and being from the rural South, on that side of their family. And then on the other side of their family, they have the Asian Muslim tradition. So they are part of the people that I'm talking about in this book, in terms of coming together and realizing that we are not an Aryan nation, and we have to go back and respect our cultures, find our forgiveness, find our love, and move forward. And that's where peace begins. And it doesn't have to be a struggle.
How do they feel about you writing your book?
They love it.
They love it?
They love it.
Do you belong to any organizations, writing organizations?
Not at this time. I have associated with many, many different writing groups along the way. Part of what I relied on heavily when I did my writing was my own English background. Mm-hmm. And I had taught creative writing and taught writing and writing skills. And I did work with my publisher, and they helped me with the editing of my book and that particular thing. But yes. I have just kind of meandered my way through this whole process with this dream and this goal, mm-hmm. and it's just kind of brought me to where I am today. And I'm just kind of amazed at sitting here as an author and having my own book, and even what I've done in the past year with now the short story and now the play and the musical. And you know, life is a journey, not a guided tour, and I just keep moving on.
Yeah, it is definitely a journey, and that's what we choose to do, right?
Yes.
You have so much knowledge. I think you still should be teaching, but but you know, that's my personal opinion. What do I know? Well,
I'm trying to teach through this book,
through
the book,
through writing.
Yes. Yes.
You're bringing out the word and letting people. That's wonderful. Thank you so very much
Thank
for
you.
being here. This has been a pleasure to
Mine
have you as
too.
our guest. And until the next Authors Forum, have a most inspiring week. That was great.